Now, they will say that everything is political, and they will say political in the most broad sense imaginable in order to apply it to the most narrowed sense imaginable. Like, for instance, they'll say, well, Tetris is political because it was made in Russia, in the Soviet Union, and it speaks blah, 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 blah. I'm not kidding. Like, game journalists actually did have that thing. And it's like, well, the music, like, ta, na, 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 that Tetris used to play, the original one. Yeah, it's to make people more sympathetic with the Soviet Union. So basically, they are saying that everything is political, right? But it's like very broad sense of politics. In order to allow people, for them to do stuff like this, to take Homelander from the boys and to say, make America super again. In other words, take the slogan of a current candidate that's running for presidency in the current year in order to apply it to Homelander. And of course, for anyone that doesn't watch the show, Homelander is a complete psychopath. So the writer of the show, which has obvious political leanings, is trying to suggest, they're trying to imply that the MAGA movement are unhinged psychopaths. Like, they're using Homelander as a sock puppet, the same way as a VTuber, in order to suggest that if you're a MAGA supporter, then you are like the Homelander. And of course, the reason they do this is to target teenagers, like people who have like a surface level understanding of politics. And it's not just this show. It's like when you look at entertainment in general and what actors say and, what people from the entertainment press are saying. They're all saying MAGA evil, MAGA evil, MAGA evil, 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 right? And that's the message that they're trying to distribute to the young generation. Because like older people have knowledge, they have more understanding. But when we're thinking about a teenager, like someone that's 16, 18, who's watching The Boys, those are the targeted audience. And it's interesting because it's Republicans that are paying for this propaganda. Like when you're subscribed to Amazon Prime, your money is taken so that it's used as propaganda against your interests. And of course, the reason that they do this is because there is absolutely no backlash. And there's never going to be. If they were to make a movie that did this towards the Democrats, right? Like if they were mocking Joe Biden, if they were mocking AOC, if they were like being viciously mocking, especially like, the Build Back Better slogan, or like an actual slogan that's coming up now, or whatever, it would be an insane backlash, right? Imagine making a movie about the Floyd riots. And in your movie, like obviously you're not using the name, but you're using like some similar imagery and similar slogans. And you're basically implying that the Democrats were organizing it and they were supporting it and all that. That movie would get banned from everywhere. I mean, holy shit. When they made that movie, The Sound of Freedom, did you see how they react to that? Or when they're making a documentary like What is a Woman by Matt Walsh, which, by the way, was one of the most popular documentaries of that year. And it asks such a difficult question that even today it has yet to be answered by all of the academia and the science. And even Dr. Fauci would probably struggle with that question. The judge that was nominated on the Supreme Court couldn't answer that question. Like it's one of the most difficult questions of mankind. But look at the criticism and the suppression that documentary got. And the backlash. And you're not going to get anything here. Which is why they do it. Because it's safe. Safe edgy, as they like to say. It's interesting, isn't it? And the thing is, like, from a cultural standpoint, it's also bad writing. Like, there's no build-up to this. We don't see Homelander being interested in politics. We don't see Homelander complaining about high taxations or the fact that the government is starting foreign wars or right, like he doesn't have any of the right-wing populist ideals. So it makes absolutely no sense why he would say make America super again. If anything, Homelander would be a corporate type of guy. Like he would support corporations. He's from Vought. He would be a leftist. He would be a pro-establishment type figure. And there is no reason why right-wingers would support Homelander either, right? Like, my favorite thing was that leftist cock, which was arguing with mother's milk. Like, I'm sorry, like when I watched that, I viewed him as a leftist. I never viewed him as a right winger. I mean, left-leaning people believe in institutions, right? That is the major difference between left wing and right wing. Right wingers, they believe in family, and then they believe in their own communities. So in order to persuade a right winger, you gotta persuade him by convincing his family members, by convincing his community or the church where he goes. In order to convince a left-leaning person, you need to have the institutions tell him. So like if the TV tells him this, they will believe it. If Dr. Fauci tells him this, they will believe it. So in this situation, it would make sense that Homelander would ally himself with the institutions. So like VOT International would basically tell people, because he's the CEO of VOT, right? So VOT International would basically tell people Homelander is great, and people would believe it because VOT International said it. That would actually make sense from a story point of view, but like again, I wouldn't even go this way. I wouldn't even touch this with a 10-foot pole, because like your audience is going to be divided. Like even the most popular political candidate rarely gets more than 60% of the vote. It happens, but like very rarely, right? So assuming that your audience is like 60% one way and 40% another, why would you even do this? Like, why would you alienate 40% of the people that are watching you by pushing this divisive content? And the answer is that they're not interested in sales. They're interested in indoctrination. Like, they're interested in pushing the message. The elections are coming on in the United States right now. So they want to make absolutely sure that people understand which is the good side and which is the bad side. Like, again, you know, I'm not against putting politics into movies or TV shows. They used to do that very tastefully in the past. Like for instance, when you had the Patriot Act that was pushed by the Bush administration, which allowed for the government to surveil on people, Marvel did a very excellent take on that in the Civil War. So in the Marvel Civil War, you have the heroes taking sides on whether or not to support this new legislation that was coming, which was forcing heroes to renounce their anonymity, right? So like, it's the same conversation. It's like, should the government be able to invade in your private life? And that was like what was being discussed, but it was being discussed in a way that's very different. And it's very tasteful, right? Like you don't have heroes supporting the government and villains supporting the people, or vice versa. No, it was like the heroes were the ones arguing. So you as a reader, you could pick a side. And it was Iron Man that was representing the corporations. It was Captain America that was representing the populists. And they were fighting at it. And they were both doing bad things, and they were both doing good things. And you as the reader got to pick. But like, it tackled the theme, and it tries to have the conversation while letting the reader make up the mind for himself. You don't get that here. Here it's like, no, Homelander is a psychopath. He believes that make America super again. So therefore, you know, the correlation is pretty accurate. It's pretty obvious what they're trying to do. Let me know what you think though. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.